What on earth happened?
You hear that? That is the sound of hearts breaking all around the world.
She's becoming a royal rock star.
And then everything changed.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Button 91. We're giving you guys a quick live talking about Harry and Meghan. You guys wanted to give my opinion on the latest 3-part episode on Netflix. It was a bonanza, it was a fest, it was a lot that was going on. A lot of things was discussed and said in the actual video. And I wanted to break it down and give you guys my particular thoughts on what happened between Harry and Meghan. Let me keep it 100 a buck and keep it absolutely real. I back Harry and Meghan all the way. I'm on their side. I believe them. And I believe their story to be true. I believe their accusations to be true. I believe their viewpoint and their perception to be absolutely true, because we've seen Harry, before Meghan came into play, already starting to distance himself in some capacity and some thought in the way that he behaved when it came to the press, when it came to the family. He was always a bit of an oddball. And Meghan added on to that. And I think it took it a little bit further than that. And now they are where they are. But I do have to be honest. Now, there was a part in the documentary when I watched it, and I think people might have picked up on it. There's one part. Harry loves the Queen. I want to be very, very clear. I believe that Harry's relationship with the Queen is unique. Sorry, was unique because she has passed. I apologize. Harry's relationship with the Queen was unique. And there was one scene, I'll do a separate video because I want to break it down and analyze it and produce the clips so you can actually see it for you guys. I'll probably do it tomorrow for you guys as well, right? There was one scene where Harry was actually sitting with Meghan, and what people focus on, they focus on Meghan, doing the whole bow thing and her kind of laughing at that situation. And what I was looking at was Harry's reaction. Now, Harry doesn't like that. And I'll tell you why. Because Harry has the utmost respect for his grandma. If you see the videos between Harry and his grandma, you'll notice that there's a really good rapport. There's several videos you can put out on YouTube. You'll see, I remember the most famous one is when he does, I think, a video with his grandma, and his grandma says something and he goes, right? He had a really great relationship and rapport with his grandma. So it seems from the outskirts and the media firm. Right. And I think what happened in that split second moment, and like I said, I don't want to focus too much on this because it's not really the whole live is about, but when she did the whole courtesy bow thing, it's almost as if you didn't take it seriously. And I wanted to put this across because I think we've had a discussion before, especially with, I know I have an American audience, and so some people might not get it. The equivalent of Meghan not taking the bow seriously, or even mocking it, or not even mocking it, maybe even not taking it as serious as she needed to take it serious, and not really understanding the implications. It's the same culturally as if you dated a Nigerian. I've dated a Nigerian before, and I dated a Nigerian before, and I asked the person, I said, how do we bow? How do we show that respect? Is that, I didn't say, oh, because you're Nigerian, I'm not going to bow. I'm Ghanaian. So I said, do you know what? I respect it. I want to show my respects coming into your home. I want to show my respects coming into your family. I want to show my respects coming into your culture, that there is a way that you deal with things. And so I saw in that little clip there between Harry and Meghan, you see how frustrated he was at that moment looking at her. Now, I think there were other points that are probably going to be frustrating for Harry and Meghan, but we'll discuss that in the rest of this documentary, and why, obviously, I believe there's a massive backlash between Harry and Meghan and the world as well. So if you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. All right, cool. Let's get into this real quick. Let's dissect this and let's break this down. I think watching the 3-part series, I think you can't help but feel some empathy and some emotion and some feel some compassion for Harry and Meghan in terms of what they go through. I love the fact they give us a background in terms of Meghan and Harry, and especially hearing the background of Meghan, because I already knew about Harry. Hearing about the background of Meghan, the fact that she, wrote a letter to, a business. I wrote a letter to the business, and she ended up changing the narrative of that particular company in the advertisement. Never knew about that. So she was an advocator from early. She was an advocator from early. She was an activist from early, etc., etc. I think the biggest issue that most people have with Meghan, I think the biggest issue that most people have with Meghan from a general standpoint, I want to take Meghan kind of out of it. Meghan is both an activist and an actor, and that's the biggest thing. Meghan is both an activist and an actor. And the biggest issue with somebody being an actor whilst being an activist is people don't trust your narrative. You see, we have a conception of what an activist should look like, smell like, taste like, behave like. As soon as they come out of that mold, we don't believe and trust them to be genuine in their pursuits, right? And even myself, I feel some type of way a little bit, even sometimes when I'm watching Meghan a little bit. And I realize that's a part of my bias, because when you see someone who's an actor as well as an activist, you kind of start wondering if the person's acting in this moment and putting on 2 on 10. Let me say this, right? Let me say this. There's a game that you have to play within the realms of media. And Meghan is astute and clever enough to play the game. Okay. If you understand, and this is the difficult part about this situation, right? I really like Meghan because I feel like I'm a person that likes strategy. I like people that are willing to war. I like people that are willing to do what they need to do to a degree to win. All right. I definitely believe Meghan was acting a little bit more in the documentary, right? I definitely believe so. There was a little 2 on 10. Okay, definitely. I believe, but it was needed. Let me tell you why it's needed. Okay, let me tell you why it's needed, and this is why it's getting the backlash. But it doesn't matter, because the story has to be told, and I'm not mad at it. For those of us who watch from the UK, we watch soccer, football, and you see footballers running. And I'll give another analogy for those who don't watch soccer, but for those who watch soccer, you will understand what I'm saying. You see grown-ass men, okay, heavy men, 14, 13, 15, 16 stone, okay, of weight, running around a pitch, a slight touch, and they're rolling on the floor. And what they're doing is they're trying to tell the referee that I've incurred more injury than needed. Do you know why? Because psychologically, what happens to the referee is if you don't fall down, roll a bit, the referee says you weren't actually really tackled. You weren't really tackled that hard. Therefore, it's not really a foul. What am I explaining here? The footballers have understood that when I feel contact or I feel like I've been fouled, if I just go down and I roll, the referee psychologically has to start thinking, well, he can't have just started falling down and rolling by himself, because he must have really been tackled hard. And guess what happens? Referees buy into it. Okay? Referees buy into it. Right? Why are they buying into it? Because psychologically, what they're seeing is there must have been some greater impact here. Even though we can see, I'm like, if you've played football, you know. Okay, so someone said NBA as well. Fantastic. Thank you. Beautiful. So NBA, someone touches your hand, if you're dribbling and someone's, it's a foul, you almost got to do too much. Why? Because psychologically, you have to get the referee to go, that's a foul. Right? Because if it's too clean and it's a little bit of contact and you don't make a big scene of it, they don't give you a foul. They will say, oh, well, no, you're cool, you good. Y'all already know. You play street rules, you know. You play street rules, you know what the thing is. You start screaming and shouting, you know what's gonna happen, right? It's the remonstration that's needed. But we're not in the sports world, okay? We're not in the sports world. We're in the real world with reality TV, with media, with film, with cameras on you constantly. The type of acting that's needed is completely different. I mean, it's similar, but it's different. Okay. All right. So in order for there to be in order for this to work, there has to be an act involved that Meghan and Harry, by the way, have been hurt more, right? I definitely, and here's the thing: if you've ever, and this is the thing, I want you to understand something, especially from a race perspective, and then we have to also consider intersectionality. You talk from a gender, a sex perspective as well. So that intersection of being a black woman or she's biracial woman, you know, understanding this part as well, right? If a white person comes to me and says nigger, I don't have to prove how aggressive that statement is. I don't have to even act. If a white person comes to me at work and says, I said nigger, one of my colleagues said nigger to me. Obviously, I don't work in the office now, but if someone said that to me, I can go to HR, right up to HR and say, HR, they called me a nigger, right? And HR would go, okay, fantastic, let's chase it up. Let's do an investigation. How do I show HR that I'm being unfairly treated when we're talking about systematic racism? Right? How do I do that? How do I do that? How do I show them, okay, systematic racism? How do I just write one incident of systematic racism? It's very difficult, right? Very, very difficult. It's very difficult in that aspect. So what has to happen is I have to elaborate. I have to accentuate. I have to overemphasize in order to get you to pay attention and understand how deadly this thing is. Right? I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to do that so that you can finally see just how painful it is. And then I have to give you several instances of this situation. Let me be real. Watching the documentary, I was asking myself, who was chasing them? Because I ain't seen nobody behind them. I want to be real with you. I'm looking at the documentary and saying, who is chasing them? Because I ain't seen anybody behind them. All right? I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Right? I did not see anybody behind them when they were driving in the car. I can't lie to you. Okay? And the whole look back stuff. Now, I'm not denying this happened. I'm not denying that there were people that weren't chasing them. I'm not denying that they don't have people who really want to take photographs of them because they're royals after all, regardless whether they have titles or not, they're royals. And I can guarantee there are people, there are media, there are photographers who will continually hound them. We need not to debate that. I'm sorry, anybody who debates that's a fool. You know what I mean? Like this is Harry and Meghan, just like it's Prince and William, and Prince William and Kate. It's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They are going to be hounded. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? So we already know. Okay, we already know that they're being hounded. But that was some acting. I'm sorry, I ain't seen no one behind you. I ain't see nobody. The camera turned behind, and I ain't seen nobody. I said, yo, y'all gonna have to do a bit better than this. If you're gonna act, let's at least have some character props in there. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't acting for me a little bit. It felt like acting for me. Now, was there people waiting by the stairs? Probably. Was there people hiding and doing sniper shots? Probably. All those kind of things. I'm not denying any of those things happen. I'm just saying that looked like it was acting for me. Now, again, that's about trying to sell the narrative. That's again about selling the story because the story in itself needs to be sold. You need to add that extra trimming so it actually makes it plausible and so that because you see, the reality is these truths I believe them to be true. I believe they get hounded. I believe they get treated differently. I believe they get chased by press. Okay, I definitely believe that. But that Let's be real. I love Meghan and Harry. Let's be real. But that, baby, I didn't see nobody behind you. Okay, I ain't seen nobody behind you. And what that does now, it leaves holes for the other people to now prod holes in your story. It just didn't need to be in there. Okay, it didn't need to be in there. But the thing again is, when you leave it in there, it creates the nit-nat, the talking, the drama. And that's why I said that no matter how you, even if you're good, it's very difficult because mud will get thrown at you, because playing the media game means that there are some aspects, you know, thank you, Sasha Vaughan. Absolutely. They have to overemphasize. Absolutely. Playing the media game requires you to act in some form, some exaggeration in it, because the media is about selling a sensation. The story can be true, but it needs a little bit of sensational. That's why the headline can be sensational, because it must draw people in, right? So unfortunately, what we see in this situation, unfortunately, in this situation, what can happen is, unfortunately, what can happen in this situation is that now people get to prod holes. People like Piers Morgan and Candace Owens, who, by the way, Candace Owens cannot talk. Maybe you got problems at home with Kanye. Okay, you got problems at home with Kanye. I need you not to talk. Okay, you don't get to. And here's the biggest thing. Here is the biggest thing. Okay, I want to play a little clip for you. I want to let you know just how far, Prince Harry and Meghan have fallen in terms of respect. Okay, I want to play. Before this, you couldn't come on media. Imagine me coming onto a professional media and calling the Queen a witch. It wouldn't be had. You couldn't do it, right? But we got people like Morgan, Piers Morgan. We got people like Candace Owens who open their big mouth and can call somebody a witch and say that somebody isn't depressed, and say that this person's is a manipulator, and say negative things about these people. But you know what's interesting? You would curb how you talk normally, and you would use maybe different words. But because Prince Harry and Meghan have been ostracized by the media, and when I say media, remember how much? Let me see how many does he own? Murdoch. Let's find out quickly. Okay, I want to find this out, guys. Okay. I'm gonna see it. Okay. I want to find out how much. Okay. Okay. So all right. So in you said it, so talking about obviously the media, talking about media, we have Rupert Murdoch. I'm trying to find out the ones that he owns. Rupert Murdoch owns quite a few of newspapers in the UK. Not all of them, but a few. Okay. And within that, you have what we heard in the documentary. What we heard in the documentary, all right, is that Harry explained something so powerful. He said there are, I think, 5 or 6 main British newspapers that get the opportunity to write about the royals however they feel like. And there is a contract verbally that says to them that they can pretty much say what they need to say. There's a contract between the royals and the newspaper. And what you're seeing, I need you to deep this, What you're seeing is somebody born into that contract who has no choice but to play that game. No. Deep what we're actually saying here And I think when you really deep it from a different perspective, everyone will go, well, you know what, you got the privilege, you're royal, you get you get your money paid to you, you don't have to work, rah 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 rah. Yeah, but he also doesn't get no autonomy. He's just born into a family that has a contract where they can say whatever they feel like about you. And you've had to live a life of acting since you were born. I just need to deep that. Just deep what you're actually, what we're really saying about somebody. As a human being, we're saying we are happy to exist in a space where somebody is born into a family and they are having to act in a particular way because the newspapers can report anything they like, basically do anything, say anything, however they feel like about the family. Now, of course, they do say more good and bad or whatever, whatever, right? But they can say whatever they feel like about you personally, right? In pretty much scope. And you have that contract with them and you never were part of the contract. That means you've sold your child into slavery without really selling them in slavery. I just want you to understand what's happening here. You do know that, right? You've actually sold your child into slavery, into some form. Now, you might not call it slavery because you're like, oh my God, you get money, you get a lifestyle, you get to do whatever you want to do. Like, how can it be slavery? I need you to understand the slavery, which is that you have no choice but to serve this thing. And what I see from Harry and where I can identify with Harry and Meghan is when you rebel again. I want to say this. Let me be very real with you, right? Let me be very real with you. I am sure, and I can guarantee you, because humans are humans, that and we see it today. So there's no need to even prove it. That even during slavery, when we first were going to be enslaved, I can guarantee you that there were some people. You hear them stories about people on a boat. That our peoples on a boat in our history, from Africa, from West Africa especially, and them rebelling and sinking the boat, or them jumping overboard and dying in the water rather than going to be enslaved, right? I can guarantee you there were people that were saying, guys, I'm not about it. Let's not do it. I can guarantee there were snitches. I can guarantee the people that were like, we'll do whatever they do to survive. Because the survival instinct of everybody isn't always to fight. Some people it's just to survive. I will do whatever I need to do. And so in that situation, what you'll have is people will hate the very people who decide to rebel against a system because the other people have found some way to survive within the system and they don't want to break it. I've got my routine going. Don't break my routine. I've got it going. And what happens is the people who decide to rebel oftentimes can be ostracized and looked at as the evil ones. I'm looking at Prince Harry and Meghan. I'm saying, I know they ain't clean. I know they did some things wrong. Okay, I know they handled some things in the right, but it's because I've worked alongside, I've spoken about cults and churches that are cults. I know that when you are in a cultish kind of environment and you decide to leave, that cult will do whatever it must do to protect itself against you. You've now become the virus and the bacteria that's trying to infect the rest of them. Oh no, you've become the leaven, the yeast in the bread. You're trying to infect the rest of them. Oh, you're trying to be free? You're trying to exit the matrix? Oh no, brother, you cannot. And if you are, we're going to do whatever we need to do to make sure. Now, my biggest issue is that the newspapers pretty much were cool with Meghan at the beginning. Absolutely right. There was some coolness with Meghan at the very beginning. But as soon as we reported that there was some systematic racism within the institution, just like any power structure, any system of power, when you begin to report that the system actually disenfranchises certain folk, the system then turns on the very people within it, because now it says, no, we're not going to give up our power. Because what we're really asking is to give up some form of power. That's actually what tends to happen. So systematic racism in a situation, all it needed to do was, you know what? The people within the house need to undergo some training. They need to learn how to undo some of the maybe unconscious bias, which is what Harry was talking about. And you know, and be able to understand that their viewpoint isn't the world viewpoint. In fact, you can't even really talk because of your history. Let's not pretend as if the monarchy is of one of that respects black people. Like let's not pretend that. Come on, guys. Your history is a bloody one. It's a bloody one. Let's keep it a buck and real. Okay, the history is one of racism physically enacted in. You can't tell me just because you part of your history is obviously abolishing slavery. Let's not forget the fact that your system paid off slave owners in 2015. I want you to understand something. Is it 2015? Might be 2015. I'll double check. They paid lump sums to families who owned slaves within the UK. I just want you to understand that. No, can we just deep that for a moment? And you think there won't be some unconscious bias? You think there won't be some racism within your system? You think there won't be trouble within your camp when it comes to people of other races? You think you're clean? You think because you helped us abolish slavery in your lineage that it frees you from some of those thought processes that you had? It doesn't. Same way it doesn't free me as a man, my own misogyny. I'm going to be real with you. I have some misogyny. I'm sure I'll be learning to undo it for the rest of my days, but I have some misogyny. I definitely do. Because it's embedded in the system that I operate within. Okay? You know? It's embedded in that. Right? So let's not pretend as if they're going to be free from that. So of course there would have been a need for some training in terms of handling this, right? Would have been. And so this situation between Harry and Meghan, and I'll close it. I don't want to go too long now. I want to do a quick one. The backlash is coming because, let me be real with you, the media, okay, is on the side of the system. And the system goes beyond even the Queen and the royals. The system is one of power. The system is one of white patriarchal supremacy. And so, unfortunately, the media will spin narratives in a particular way. Now, do I believe that Meghan and Harry are innocent? No. But I've done videos on this. I don't need to do it again. I showed you the proof. The proof? I showed you the proof. I showed you articles of how they spoke about Meghan in comparison to Kate. But they will say, oh, no, we're just doing our job. No, you were being racist and you didn't realize that. You were being racist. We see in the media today, we have a full-on, BBC is one of the worst. BBC, we have a national television coverage, right, yeah? National television broadcaster. Yeah, a bit like NBC or, CNN or whatever we want to call it, right? We have BBC, the national one of UK. And they, on more than one occasion, have confused two celebrity black people, not even normal folk, celebrity black folk, and then had to apologize and said it's a mistake. They've put another name. I've never seen it with white folk. I've yet to see that situation happen with white folk. But several times our national television broadcaster has changed the name of a black person or incorrectly labeled a black person as someone else. Two celebrities, not even normal people, celebrities. Our national newspapers, we've seen it. One black boy, and we see it in football. One black boy buys his mama a house, and they start talking about the extravagance of him buying his mama a big house. White boy does the same. How great it is. This white boy has obviously gone and bought his mama a house. How lovely it is. That's the systematic racism we're talking about. You haven't called me nigger. Not literally anyway. Right? So what you're trying to do is one-man upmanship. It's called one of the 33 strategies of war. You're trying to one-man upmanship through the media. So when I look at Meghan and Harry, of course, I'm looking at them acting a little bit. Of course, I'm sure that Meghan's probably doing more than Harry probably even likes. Can we be real about that? Can we be real? That Meghan is probably doing a bit more acting than Harry even feels comfortable with, because he's never really tried to play the game in that instance. So having to play that game in that way, it may be uncomfortable for him. I can be sure that I'm sure that at some points he's following Meghan's lead, because at some points he has to realize that she's the expert in this field. And so I can see how that could be a bit of an issue. I can see how that, not even it's an issue, but I can see how some of the media are spinning it in a particular way, because more than likely this is her world. She understands how you have to put on the act in order to tell the story. She understands that better than most people do. And so in that instance, I can understand that the media may also try to spin a narrative like she's controlling, she did it. But the reality is, she knows this world better than probably he does himself. He knows how to put on an act in terms of, yes, of course, be the good guy, but do you know how to sell a story? That's different. Selling a story, selling a narrative and a story, that's potentially her particular lane. Did they do that? Did they do the documentary for their voice only? Of course they're gonna get money from it. They're not gonna get, if they're not gonna be part of the royal family and their finances, they have to find some money from the coffer somehow. They need money. Okay, they need money, so they got to pay for all these bodyguards and the security. You know what I mean? They need money. I'm not mad at them for doing a documentary, and they're gonna get paid for it, a lot of millions. I'm gonna tell my truth and get money for it. Absolutely, I will. Absolutely, But here's where the hypocritical people are like, well, if you really are about the truth, you'll do it for free. Negro, please. Okay. Negro, please. Okay. Go and sit your ass down. Okay. All right. And keep quiet. Because I ain't gonna do it for free either. If I'm gonna tell my story I'm gonna get paid. Because at the end of the day, I've got bills to pay too. Yeah. So like, I'm not mad at them for getting paid to tell their story. Like, and that's gonna discredit them. It's like, no, that's not gonna discredit them. So I definitely do believe that there are some little aspects to it. And I understand where Harry and Meghan come from. I'll probably do another video, because like I said, I wanted to talk about that part with Harry and how he felt about it. But I'm not about to try, and I'll talk a bit deeper. I don't want to go too long on this, 'cause I want to keep it short. But there is and I think someone said it earlier on, the media is a machine that's built to produce a narrative that supports white supremacy in some aspects. What I mean by that, in that sense, is this: not support just white people, because white people, that would sound too baseline. Let's take it higher. What I really mean by that is that there's a system that has been built by those who were in power. It's the elite. The elite also, the elite at the time were white Europeans, okay? And so they built a system that benefits them. And that system hasn't been broken. So it's still operating today. Now, there might be parts that may be changed, and maybe parts that have been adopted, maybe parts have updated, but the very system that we operate today by, had its origins in white supremacy. This is why we were enslaved. And so in that case, the system that's still running, it hasn't been broken, is still going to supply the benefits and the advantages to those who are of white skin tone, origin, background, whatever you want to call it. And even Meghan herself also benefited from this. That's a conversation for another time. Because that's the part that I had issue with Meghan with. Okay. That's the part I had an issue with. Okay. My biggest issue I had with Meghan was that you ain't got no black friends around you. Every girl that came on that screen was white. And my friend said it very good. Where were they when you were getting slaughtered in the press? I need to know. That's my only issue I have with Meghan. That's my biggest issue I have with Meghan. Okay. All right. That's my biggest issue I have with Meghan. Where are the black people around you in your circle? That's what I'm asking. Okay. All right. And secondly, where were these white friends when you needed them to speak up? Where were they? Okay. I needed them to be out here tweeting and pressing. I needed them to be in that space too. I need to know that they are not racist themselves. Just because they rock with you don't mean they ain't racist, baby. I need to know that they too are also are different from the very people that you escaped from before I can back that friendship for you. Okay? I'm gonna need you, Meghan. I'm gonna need you to, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Right? I didn't see no black folk. So I don't know if the black folk didn't want to talk. Okay? I don't know if the black folk didn't want to talk or whatever, but blah, blah, blah. But hey, you know, you had black women in the media and the press writing for you, backing you, supporting you. So, I'm gonna need you to look at that, Meghan. Just look at that, and let's look at that properly. So you've benefited the rest of your life, and that's where I need a deeper introspection from Meghan. I need a deeper introspection that part of the story isn't just about royal family, but also it's about you unlearning your own particular biases that you have. Because best believe, sis, if you've been white passing for a majority of your life, I can almost guarantee there's been biases that you have that you don't even realize too. Because I know I have some biases as a black male. Okay. I know. You know what I mean? I know that. So I need also that part to hold yourself accountable and be like, do you know what? I didn't realize I was black to yes. You didn't realize you were black to then. So let's look back. So this is where, and this is where, if she doesn't do this in the next 3 episodes, she leaves herself short. Because now, if you're accusing the monarchy, which I agree with you, the monarchy, which I agree with you, which is inherently systematically racist because of the system it operates in, then I'm gonna need you, okay? I'm gonna need you to also look at where are your own biases now. Because you've been white passing for the rest of your life. You've been white passing for the whole of your life. You've been white passing. It's only until you came to the UK that you realized you was a black person. Okay, great. Now, what biases do you have? What biases do you have? What biases do you have? That's the key question I want to ask. So in that aspect, so in that aspect too, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's get involved with that, and let's hold yourself accountable. Because so that you don't get blasted this way, because they're gonna if you blasted someone else, they're gonna blast you now, right? So that's what I would say about that. But anyway, let me leave it there. Let's leave it there. Let's. There's more to discuss on this. You know what I mean? We'll have more conversations about this later on. But I appreciate it, guys. I'll be back in a second. I'm going to do a second live. Derek Jackson, situation. We'll discuss about that later on. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. See lots of later. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We're going to do Derek Jackson live. We'll see you in a bit.